Hello and welcome to For the Glory, a Wattle Nest production series showcasing some of Australia's finest elite athletes to share their stories, inspire our nation and embrace the power of sport. My name is Rachel Condos Fields and I'm super excited to introduce you to a great lineup today. We will be joined by some of Australia's most influential and successful athletes as we discuss strategies to empower, celebrate and connect elite athletes. Joining me in the studio today as my co-host is our Australian track and field legend, Nana Owusu.
Hello.
Nana.
Thank you for having me. So excited to talk to more athletes today and hear their inspirational stories.
And what a lineup we have today. We are really excited to be welcoming an Australian Paralympic legend, bocce athlete, Daniel Mickle. Welcome, Daniel.
Hey, Rachel. Hey, Nana. Happy to be here.
Thank you for being here today. Now, can you tell us a little bit about the game of bocce?
Yeah. So bocce is a Paralympic sport. It's for people with severe physical disabilities. It's actually for the most severely physically disabled para-athletes in the Paralympic Games. It's a bowling type game, similar in some ways to lawn bowls, in which athletes propel coloured balls with the objective of getting them as close as possible to a target ball that we call the jack. Some athletes are able to throw the ball, and other athletes like myself who don't have that ability, we use a ramp to propel our balls, and we have an assistant called the ramp operator who is on court with us to move the ramp and to put the ball on the ramp where we want it to be. And you basically play in individuals, or you can play in pairs and teams of three as well.
I was just watching some footage there and it's just unbelievable seeing your own personal technique come to life. And I know you're a humble man, but you have at a point in your career been ranked #1 in the world for bocce. And congratulations on behalf of the Wattle Nest, and keen to understand what your current rankings are and your next aspirations and goals.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I mean, the rankings are pretty fluid in bocce. It's a little similar to tennis. I try and explain it to people because during the year we have kind of a circuit of events that go on, and the rankings are updated kind of very frequently. So I was #1 for about 3 weeks, and
Take it, claim
and
it.
then regressed back down to number 3, and I'm sitting around number 3 or 4 now. I think I haven't looked at the rankings recently, but I just returned from a competition in Bahrain where I was able to win a gold medal in the pairs event with my partner Jamison. So that should really catapult us up into the top 3 in the pairs rankings, which would be really good. And next thing on the agenda is the World Championships in a couple of weeks. So it's a big back end of the year for us.
Speaking of World Championships, what are your struggles when travelling for bocce?
Oh, look, there's a lot of things. I think just from a physical perspective, long-haul travel is a very difficult thing for us with our level of disability. It can be quite uncomfortable, and I think also kind of just the inaccessibility of a lot of hotels we stay in that requires, a certain adaptability and a mindset where, you're able to just sort of make things work on the fly. And fortunately, we have a really great team together of people with that kind of mindset, and we're always able to make it work. But then, aside from that, there's the financial stresses of what it costs us individually to travel to these events. We're only funded partially by the government, and the rest of it we have to fill in ourselves. So there's always a financial burden involved as well with the travelling.
So how do you manage that? A lot of sausage sizzles and fundraising events, or do you have a GoFundMe page?
Bit of both, yeah, absolutely. I've got a couple of fundraising pages, one with the Australian Sports Foundation and a GoFundMe as well set up. And I've sold a couple of raffle tickets and a few sort of passes for events and things like that to try and raise some revenue. But, it's never quite enough. So it's a constant battle.
And in order to qualify for the Paralympics, I assume that you've got a certain number of international tournaments and qualifying events you need to go to. So is that right?
Of course. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's really important that we keep our rankings up because that's ultimately what will determine who qualifies for our Paralympic Games. And to do that, we obviously have to attend a lot of events. So the more important ones being the World Championships and and the regional championships. But around those, you have usually 2 or 3 World Cups every year that, really add up to ranking points and add up to qualification for the major events. So it's really important that we're attending, 2 to 3 to 4 international competitions every year.
Ouch, my bank account hurts just thinking about that stress, Daniel. But you're a Cronulla boy, and I'm really interested to understand, how did you actually get introduced to boccia? We didn't actually appreciate the status of it and that it was a Paralympic sport before meeting you and hearing your story.
For sure, yeah. Look, it was something that took me a long time to come around to. So I've had my disability since birth, and I've been in a wheelchair since I was 5 years old. And growing up as a young kid, I never thought there was a sport out there that I could play, which was something that was really difficult for me because I grew up in a very sport-loving family with a dad and brothers who both played sport, and I always felt like I was missing out. I was never able to engage in a sport with my peers and with my family, and it was a part of my life that I really missed. And for a long time growing up, I thought that I'd never be able to play sport as a result of my disability. But very fortunately, when I was 15 years old, I attended a camp for people with disabilities, and at that camp, some people from Boccia New South Wales came along and demonstrated the sport of boccia. At the time, I'd never heard of the sport before or seen it played before, and I kind of just thought it would be another sport that I couldn't play. But fortunately, I guess the kind of inquisitiveness in me prompted me to go along and check it out anyway, and I'm so lucky I did, because I quickly realised it's a sport I can play and one that I can take to the top level. And kind of from that point on, I just dove in head first.
And that right there, everyone, Nana, the power of sport, amazing power. Sport just has the ability to unite and bring everyone together, and that's a really, really empowering story, Daniel. You've got one really keen fan and supporter. I was fortunate enough to meet Steve Waugh a few weeks ago, and I think he puts you up there as his number one idol in terms of sporting success, and you're very lucky to have him as a mentor. Has he helped you with your successes or been a coach in any way, shape or form?
Oh, look, yeah, me and Steve have a great relationship. We got introduced by his foundation. They helped me when I was quite young, or maybe not quite young, but when I was a teenager, to buy one of my assistive technologies. And ever since then, I guess our common kind of interest in sport and, my kind of progression as an athlete helped us stay in touch. And yeah, he's been an amazing person. And he came out to the Nationals a couple of weeks ago and watched me play a game. And we don't really get in depth too much about sport, but I guess, there's a common understanding there. And yeah, we definitely have chats here and there about it. And it's always just great knowing I've got him in my corner for sure.
That's incredible. Heart of gold. You both deserve working with each other. That's really, really impressive. Before we get to Nana's favourite part of the show, I did have some news for you, Daniel. So we know that outside of playing boccia and your love of sport, you're a bit of a men's fashion enthusiast. And I know that you've got a bit of a fine eye for premium watches. So our
100%.
friends at Adina Watches, a family-owned premium watch boutique in Brisbane, have handpicked a designer watch for you. And although you're not here in the studio in person, I've got it with me and I will give it to you when I catch up with you next week.
Wow, that's so awesome. That's fantastic. Can't wait to see it.
It's pretty special. I can't wait to give it to you. And on top of that, our friends at Audera would like to give all of our studio guests some premium state-of-the-art headphones to promote healthy hearing and help you find a personalised sound. So again, when we catch up in person, I've got a little bit of a goodie bag for you.
Brilliant. So good. I can't wait, Rachel.
No, my pleasure. But Nana, your favourite part?
My favourite part of the day. So, Daniel, we would like to hear your 2 truths and a lie.
Okay, so here we go. Let's have 3 of them. So number 1, I started playing boccia as a 5-year-old. Number 2, my fiance and I met on Tinder 3 years ago. And number 3, during the 2009 swine flu pandemic, I was quarantined on my way to Europe in Singapore for a week due to my brother catching swine flu.
Ooh, we'll find out what the lie is, but I've got a feeling you have accidentally disclosed that first number one was your lie by telling us your camp story.
I know. I did. I was regretting it. When I heard that, I was like, oh, no, I haven't got to come up with another one on the fly. I couldn't quite do it. So.
No, that's all right, Daniel. Hey, we've run out of time. We could talk to you for hours and can't wait to catch up with you in person next time. But thank you so much for joining us on the show today. You are a great inspiration to all Australian athletes, and Nana, myself and the cohort at the Wattle Nest wish you the very, very best of luck. And Nana, thanks again for co-hosting.
No, thank you for having me.
Thanks so much, guys. Great to talk.
Our absolute pleasure. So, viewers, that concludes this session of the For the Glory series. Be sure to tune in next time as we discuss and share more stories from the professional athlete world. Until next time, thanks guys, take care.